What is up, everybody? Welcome back to part 3 of Mindset 101. I'm super stoked that you guys are taking this class. This has been utterly transformational for me. Changing my mindset literally took me from feeling hopeless, lost, alone, being broke, and finally realizing I could take control of my life, get better at anything I wanted to, and it radically changed my life. And I'm really excited that you guys are committing to that in your own lives. And I want to tell you a story of somebody that used this and the degree to which it changed their lives. I think it's so cool to hear these stories of just absolute earth-shattering transformation. And back at Quest, this was like my mission, my fucking mission in life was to give this mindset to other people. And this is where my obsession with mindset started. We were in the inner cities and I was interviewing people like crazy. We were growing so fast. Quest grew by 57,000% in our first 3 years alone. I will say largely on the back of us having mindsets that we could learn and grow. And we were in an industry that we knew nothing about, but we knew that we could learn it, that we could get better, that we could figure it out, that we could solve problems. And it actually sent us down a path to solving problems other people just assumed were unsolvable. But it also put us in contact with people that had a very fixed mindset, that had beliefs about the world that were leading them down a path that was making them less than they could be. And when you're in the inner cities and you're interviewing and hiring people as rapidly as we are, I figured that I would just, like in any sample size I would get, or any sample population, I would get people all over the map. And I started asking this Magic Genie question because I wanted to know what people were really driven by. I wanted to know what their deepest passion was. And I wanted to see if we could align our selfish desires. And what I said was, a Magic Genie is about to show up. In fact, I'm curious. I want you guys to answer this question yourselves. A Magic Genie is about to show up. They're going to grant you one wish and one wish only. You can ask for anything you want, except you can't ask for more wishes. You can't cure cancer or bring somebody back from the dead. It has to be something for you, because I'm trying to figure out what you're really all about, what you really want. And you would think that we would get this extraordinary array of answers, and we got one answer over and over and over. And the first thing actually people said was, I want a job. And I'm like, yeah, right. This is a Magic Genie. What do you really want? And after I push people on, they're like, all right. What I want is money. Okay, rad. How much? Now, what are the odds that every single person ends up giving me that same answer? It just seems so absurd even now. And the answer that they gave me was $1 million. You can't even buy a house in LA for $1 million. I was literally like, what the fuck? Like, this is a Magic Genie. Dream big. Come up with some impossibly large number. Ask for $1 trillion or a money-making machine that will print money that will always be accepted. That way you never run out. Something like that. But the fact that everyone said $1 million, it really got me thinking, like, what the fuck? It is such a terrible answer. And what I realized was that was their answer to an impossibly large amount of money. And that was where I became obsessed with this notion of frame of reference, and frame of reference really mattering. And when your frame of reference is that the world is working against you, and that your efforts are not going to be rewarded, and that because you've never seen anybody get out and go on to be successful, then of course you think about yourself that you're never going to get out and be successful. And that very rapidly pushes people down the path to having a fixed mindset. And we had one kid, and being as how I'm looking at him right now, I will tell you his name. His name was Carlitos. And he came on the line, and he was just a really sort of interesting kid. He seemed really bright to me. I expected him to have a lot of drive and ambition, but the reality was he never thought positively about his future. And this was a kid that could go on to do anything. And he was the one that really made me think of this notion. I used to call it mining for astronauts. And I was like, dude, in Compton, which is where we were at the time, there are the next Einstein, the next like brilliant minds, the next Elon Musk, but they're never going to do anything with their lives because they don't believe that they can. They don't believe the one thing that matters, which is that their energy and effort will be rewarded with an increase in skill set, which they can then turn into whatever they want. And because he didn't believe that, he was living this small life and he wasn't doing anything. He had sort of the ultimate fixed mindset. He had a limited perspective. And like I said earlier, no one he knew had ever escaped. So it just seems self-evident. And that's where people make a mistake. They mistake their belief, their choice for objective truth. So in his mind, that was it. You worked in a business that was in the neighborhood. That was it. You had the skill set that you had. You were as smart as you were when you were born, and that was it. And your life was about making the most of those intelligence. Now remember, a fixed mindset is to believe that your talent and intelligence are fixed traits. You're born with it, baby. and it's just about living a life that makes the most of the hand that you were dealt. Somebody with a growth mindset, on the other hand, realizes that their talent and intelligence are malleable traits. And the whole point of taking this course, I want to beat this drum to death. The whole reason that you're taking this course is to go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, to cultivate the belief, to do whatever the fuck you have to do to get yourself to hardwire in your mind that just because you're not good at something today doesn't mean you can't be extraordinary at it tomorrow. And so I started talking to Carlitos about that, and I started talking to him about how weird I thought it was that people weren't dreaming big. And he was like, people in my neighborhood don't dream big. You don't see anything like that. The world doesn't want you to succeed like that. I thought, wow, it's fucking terrifying. And it really started to freak me out that the only thing separating me from this kid was the way I thought. Because he was at least as smart as I was. If I'm hopelessly average, he was at least hopelessly average, and maybe he was something even more if we could just begin to shape his mindset. And so I made him a deal, and I said, look, I'll make you a trade. You're very good on the line. You're a hard worker. The people trust you. They like you. You have a lot of credibility because you're always willing to work your ass off. So you take a shift, you watch over people, you run that shift, and then I'll help you get off the production line. I'll help you move up. And I said, but you have to tell me what skill you want. Because until you have that crystal clarity on what you want from your life, you're never going to be able to get where you want to go. And he said, all right, man, what I want to do is I want to learn how to code. To him, that was something he could learn. It was something that was exciting. He could see it could make him a lot of money, could make him 6 figures, which for him was this astronomical amount of money. And I said, all right, fantastic. The only thing standing between who you are today and that person that's able to make a 6-figure income as a coder is a set of skills. Now, the reason you don't have those set of skills is you haven't applied yourself because you lack the only belief that matters. You don't believe that putting your energy into learning something new will be rewarded by change because you think that you were born with a certain set of intelligence and talents and that's it, and you don't have these other ones. So breaking him out of that and getting him to realize that he could develop those, he started spending nights and weekends working his ass off. He decided to believe that he could get good at anything he set his mind to. Thusly, he put in the energy. Thusly, he started getting rewarded. He started getting a lot better. First, we gave him an internship with our tech team because we're like, you're not fucking good enough to pay yet. But if you keep working your ass off here, nights and weekends, and you're really earning your stripes, then you can move into a full-time position, which he ultimately did. And the punchline of his story is he got so good, Carlitos, that this motherfucker actually started his own business as a coder. Now, fair enough, he ends up deciding that he doesn't want to be an entrepreneur. He'd rather be in a group of people that are growth-minded, that push him. And so he ended up coming back, and I'm very encouraged to be reconnecting with him. And it's utterly fascinating to see this kid who didn't believe that he could do anything. He had never owned a fucking laptop, never owned a computer. And he goes from never owning a computer to teaching himself how to code using what, Khan Academy or something? He's taking classes, nights, weekends, learning all shit for free that he can find online. And he gets so good that he's able to now make a living as an independent contractor, as a coder. It's this extraordinary journey. He's just beginning. I cannot wait to see how far he goes. As somebody who has a growth mindset, as somebody who knows that when he applies himself, when he's disciplined, when he practices over and over, when he repeats these empowering things in his mind, that he actually gets better. And just because he's not good today doesn't mean that he's not going to be good tomorrow. And watching somebody do that year after year after year and watching them transform their lives is one of the most breathtaking things that can happen when you see somebody else do it. But now imagine you do it in your own life. Now imagine that you're Carlitos. Imagine that you take on that belief and you start applying yourself. All right. Now, while you're holding that fucking idea in your head, I want you to focus on the immediate actions you're going to take to change your life. All the things that Carlitos did, now you're going to apply to your own life, and you're going to do the following things. This is going to change your life, but you're going to have to stick with it. All right, now I'm presuming that you have this notion of a growth mindset. You know the things you have to believe. You know the things that you should be doing. These are going to be the things that you're going to do to reinforce that, to cement it in your mind and put it into action. Remember, action cures all. Almost every problem that you have in your life, the cure is to do something about it. It's never to sit back. It's never to be passive. It is to, in fact, I'll stop saying weak shit. It is to always take action, to do something, to change your situation, to make it what you want. It may be learning something new. It may be facing a fear. Maybe just getting off your ass and getting busy. But action is going to cure all. Now, as I said with Carlitos, number one, you have to have clarity. You have to know what you're going after. Until you have the clarity on your direction, you're never going to be able to move. Now, people always think that they're clear when they're not. And this is the classic example. Somebody will come to me and they say, Tom, I know exactly what I want to do. Awesome, man. What is it? I want to help people. That is hopelessly vague. Because remember, from where you are to where you want to be, there is a chasm. And that chasm is a chasm of skill set. To know what skills you need to acquire to cross that chasm requires you to be clear. When you say you want to help somebody, that's like saying you want to win a gold medal. In what? The Olympics? Yes, Tom, I want a gold in the Olympics. I want to win a gold in the Olympics. Fantastic. Summer or winter? Summer? Great. Which sport? Tennis or swimming? Swimming? Wonderful. What event? Backstroke? Freestyle medley? Until you know exactly what event and what sport you want to compete at, you're not going to know what skills you need to develop. Now, the key to developing those skills, the key to making the most of that clarity is to develop passion. People often think that passion, like talent and intelligence, is something that you're born with. You are not, punchline, you're not born with passion. So if you don't have passion in your life, it's because you haven't developed that passion yet. That's a whole course unto itself, but I will give you the quick breakdown. Passion, which is required to persevere, which is why it's so important right now when we're talking about a growth mindset. Passion is interest that you explore enough to turn into a fascination, and then you gain mastery. Fascination or interest plus mastery equals passion. As Angela Duckworth defines grit, grit is passion and perseverance over time. So getting that passion to couple with your clarity is gonna give you the energy that you need to see things through. But you need that direction in order to develop that passion. So I want you to write it down. That's when you know you have something clear. It's so clear you can write it down. Once you can write it down in a very simple, clear sentence, you're gonna understand the skills that you need to acquire in order to move forward. And then, my friends, develop said skills. Number two, you want to hang up the essential beliefs for a growth mindset. I think that seeing this stuff, being around it, the power of repetition is really important. And an idea that I want to quickly introduce you to is the notion of self-signaling. I think self-signaling is a big thing. And if you ever see me wearing my Jedi necklace, or you see me wearing one of my shirts that talk about a whole host of things, from having a growth mindset to doing that which moves you forward, I'm the type of person that, like, all the things that I wear to remind myself of who I am, what my belief system is, I'm signaling to myself. So if you see me wearing a Yoda shirt, it's because I really believe there is no try, do or do not. Things like that. Like, that may seem silly and goofy, but putting it in your life, you're self-signaling to yourself what's important, what's powerful. Number three, you want to audit your self-narrative. Self-narrative is a book unto itself, let alone a class. But you want to be very, very aware of what your self-narrative is. And you're going to take over that process. You're going to begin to construct a new narrative, an empowering narrative, the narrative of an anti-fragile. We talked about that in the last section. An anti-fragile learner. That is critical. Let that become your narrative. You're the learner. So it doesn't matter if you know something today. You focus on being a learner. You value yourself for being a learner. I'm a learner. I learn fast. I go in. I dive deep in a subject. I'm willing to face my inadequacies. I don't allow myself to be insecure because of something that, I don't know, or I am embarrassed in public. Somebody asks me a question and I don't know the answer. In my interview show, if I don't know, I'm just going to fucking ask. Like, if somebody says something and I'm essentially on national television, we have over 1 million subscribers on YouTube alone, and if I don't know, I'm just going to say, yeah, I don't know that. And the funny, it's not even hard for me. And when I first started doing it, people were like, they would, call it out in the comments, like, whoa, I can't believe that you'd admit that you don't know that. And the thing is, because my ego is so big and so raging, but it's entirely around being the learner, that moment of admitting that I don't know something is exactly how I empower myself. So you want to build that identity of the anti-fragile learner. You also want to eliminate your limiting beliefs. All of us, even I still today, have limiting beliefs, things that I think that, I'd really struggle to get good at that or whatever. And I called 2 of them out before, singing and drawing. And you want to, one by one, get rid of the limiting beliefs in your life. There are things that you want, you're excited about, maybe you're even passionate about, but you don't think that you're ever going to be one of the greats. And you need to set that aside and understand that on a long enough timeline, you can win at anything. The next thing is your negative voice. We all have a negative voice in our heads. And oftentimes people are asking me, Tom, what do you do to get rid of the negative voice? And the reality is, I don't even make an attempt to get rid of the negative voice. What I try to do is turn that negative voice into a habit loop trigger, meaning every time the negative voice jumps up, tells me that I can't do something, then I use that as a habit loop trigger to repeat one of my empowering phrases. I'm not good at this yet, or I can do anything I set my mind to without limitation. Whatever the thing is that's appropriate to whatever the negative voice is saying in that moment, the negative voice doesn't have the sway over me because it reminds me to think something that's empowering. And if you've done what we just talked about and you've printed out the belief systems from the first section, you have these things around you, you're gonna have plenty of things that you're soaking in that are going to be readily available for you. When you have that negative thought, you'll know exactly what to replace it with. Number 4, you want to acquire skills. The chasm of skill set between who you are and who you want to be is a chasm of skill set. And the whole idea behind a growth mindset is to acquire skills. Remember, the growth mindset is just giving you the foundation you need to go operate in the world, to not be shut down by criticism, to not shrink back in the face of challenge. You reframe that challenge. You remember that the human animal can grow and adapt, and that through disciplined practice, you can get good at something. So it's okay to not be good today. You're gonna get good on the things you care about because you have the clarity, you know exactly what skills you need to acquire, and now you're going down the focused, disciplined practice path of gaining those skills. And in that process, you're gonna have to do things that are hard, you're gonna have to push yourself out of your comfort zone, and you're gonna have to repeat, repeat, repeat. Number 5, you're gonna audit your pattern of quitting. I think a lot of people quit under the guise of, oh, it just wasn't as exciting as I thought it was gonna be. But you really need to look at, do you actually have a lack of grit? Because if you find that you start 1 or 2 things, you get into it and you realize, you know, I'm not really that into this, and you quit, hey, fair enough, so be it. Or if something legitimately is not worth the time and energy, like when I think about singing, for instance, I don't want it badly enough to put in the time and energy on that because I don't get early wins in singing. So, and that goes to none of us are blank slates. We all have things that we're better at than others. And so for me, singing is one of those things that while I could get far better than I am today, and I fully acknowledge that, I don't like it enough to put in the time and energy. So thinking about something like that and really looking at, is it that? Have I really just accurately identified something I don't want badly enough to go after it? Or have I not developed grit? Have I not developed the passion that I need and the perseverance to see things through over time? And one thing that I always tell entrepreneurs is boredom kills far more entrepreneurs than fear or failure. It's that people get bored and they don't have the grit, the fortitude to see things through. So really be honest with yourself about where you are there. Number 6, read the book Mindset by Carol Dweck. It is extraordinary. It's going to reinforce all the things we've talked about here. I think that book is so, so, so important. Read that book. Number 7, journal about your growth mindset. Journaling, I think, is really big. And this is something that's helped me a lot. I actually really got into this hardcore about a year ago, and I really started just using it as a way to think through a process, to reinforce things, just to write. And I write in true stream of consciousness. So do not worry about whether or not you're a good writer. When I'm writing in my journal, I actually type, I don't know, should I? Because I find that there's something, and I don't type with those single fingers, I'm quite good. I'm doing all that. I find that it slows my mind down enough, and in typing all of that stuff, I really let my mind sort of pace itself at the rhythm that I can write at. So I write out every single thought that I have, and it's really weird. It's like talking to yourself. And so you're having this really profound dialogue, and it's solidifying ideas. It's allowing you to explore. It's reinforcing. It's part of the repetition pathway. So I highly, highly encourage you guys to journal about what's positive about a growth mindset. Why do you want to do it? It's going to be a way like obsession. In fact, that's number 8, is to become obsessed with the idea of yet. But that whole notion of obsession is really critical, and you can get that out in the journaling. So even journaling by adding yet, by talking about something that you're not good at yet, but that you want to get good at, and writing the word yet, and saying, you know, hey, I really value this thing and I really want to get good at it, but I'm not good at it yet. And I might sit there and go, yet in my journal. And that's the kind of thing that just reinforces it, and steeping yourself in that. Becoming obsessed with that. And really just reinforcing this stuff in your life is incredibly powerful. So never lose sight of the power of yet. Don't lose sight of the power of repetition, and definitely don't lose sight of the power of journaling. All right, number 9, you're going to want to join a community. We talked about in the previous section, you are the average of the 5 people, and maybe ideas is an even better way to say it, but you're the average of the 5 ideas you spend the most time with. And as a social animal, it gets reinforced so much more powerfully when you're a part of a community. Other people, especially if you like and respect them, and you want to adhere to the values of the group, that is so powerful. And that's one of the reasons that we have a community around Impact Theory University. And you guys, as a member taking this class, you have access to that, and I highly encourage you guys to get involved with that. And then whenever possible, get involved with people in real life. I think that that's incredibly, incredibly powerful. All right, guys. I think one of the most powerful things anyone can give you is doubt. And if you're like me and you place a fucking chip right on your shoulder and that drives you in the really hard times, I think that's ultra, ultra powerful. But remember, 80-20. You want to spend 80% of the time in the light, in the beauty, in the things that bring you joy and all that. So I want to give you a piece of joy right now. And I want to say this. I believe in you. And I believe in you because you're average. And average is enough. Humans are designed to grow and adapt. The brain is changeable. A growth mindset is attainable. You can do the things that you need to do to realize that our talent and intelligence are not fixed traits. They are malleable traits, things that you can change. You can learn to begin to identify your triggers that slide you into a fixed mindset, that make you want to shut down and shy away from challenge. And with that growth mindset, the belief that your energies and efforts are going to be rewarded with growth, then all of a sudden you can take on that ownership for your life because it becomes exciting. And you start to realize that owning your life and taking responsibility for your choices and taking responsibility for where your life is the most exciting and beautiful thing that you could do, because you can get better. And you can realize, like Carlitos, no matter where you grow up, no matter how hard things have been for you, there is a path out. And that path is a growth mindset. I really, really hope that the information in this class is as life-changing for you guys as it was for me. I'm so passionate about passing this information on. It changed my life in ways that are so profound. It didn't just change my life, it changed the lives of my family. And I hope that it now is passed on to you and it changes your life and you're able to pass it on to other people and it will change their life. And guys, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. We will definitely be engaging and answering people's questions. I'm beyond honored that you joined me for this. And I'm beyond honored, and the thing that I care most about is that you're committing to yourself to develop a growth mindset. I really believe if more people do this, we can have the kind of impact in the world that we want to have. And if you want to know what my theory on how to impact people is, it's this: to give them a growth mindset and to do it at scale. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, my friends, be legendary. Take care.